hold on. What's in them?
Limited edition Commander Data Bubble Bath.
You sure this isn't a lore?
A couple might be lores.
Hello everyone, it's time for another Star Trek Lodex review. We're a day late because Star Trek Day took up most of my day yesterday, even though it was actually Star Trek Day 2 days ago, but Aftermath ended up doing a bunch of video and streaming work, so here we are to talk about an Embarrassment of Dooplers, which is Season 2, Episode 5, and we're gonna start off with my impressions on it without any spoilers, as always. This episode was hilarious. Maybe the best episode this season? It's this or episode 2. Both are kind of evenly matched for me. This was hilarious. It's a really funny episode that plays to the series' strength. Combining both heart and serious development with just ridiculous comedy and referential stuff. There was some things that bugged me, but it didn't bug me enough to where it actually hurt the episode. For example, the B plot is kind of centered on this concept of having to walk on eggshells around people to not offend them, and the solution to that situation is kind of to stop being thoughtful about that, which if you try to read into that on a larger scale, it could suggest some pretty awful things, but I don't think that's what the episode is trying to do. It's just a message that can be derived from it. The actual message of the episode itself is just a silly little plot about misunderstandings more than anything else. But the A plot finally deals with the fallout of Mariner and Boimler in Season 1, in the final episode, which we saw a few hints of in the first 2 episodes of this season, but then they just kind of didn't touch on it in episode 3 and 4, but here it comes back and it's properly resolved, and it's really, really nice. We get some really good development of both Mariner and Boimler, and especially them together, and it's great. It's really funny. It has a bunch of surprising references that I really didn't expect, including what I think might be the first Discovery reference in Star Trek Lower Decks, but I could be wrong. So yeah, just great episode all around. I loved it. Hilarious. Watch it. Oh, and Richard Kind is in it, and Richard Kind is awesome, and I'll get to who he plays in the episode in the spoiler part, but it was wonderful to see Richard Kind in this. So, okay, spoiler time. Let's talk about the A-plot immediately, because there's no intro this week. Yeah, no intro. It just starts with the title sequence. I was kind of surprised. Mariner and Boimler want to go to an after party for a commander's conference in Starfleet. They're on this big star base that Mariner actually used to live on. And they're preparing, they're oh, we want to go, but we can't go because we're not high-ranking officers or anything. And Boimler mentions that he bet his clone is invited into it.
Yeah, my stupid transporter clone William is probably going. You haven't even met him, but trust me, he's so annoying. Real stickler for the rules, kind of a butt kisser.
Wait, shut up. The Titan's on the other side of the system deterring the Packlets.
So?
So, there's no way they can make it here in time. William's invite is just sitting there. You can pose as your clone and I can be your +1.
You're right.
I like here that Boimler is immediately on board with this plan, because he wouldn't have been in Season 1, he would be way more oh no, we gotta follow the rules. But here's he has grown and come to appreciate being around Mariner more, so that when she pitches this ridiculous plan, he's actually on board with it. I thought that was really cute. He also suggested that they should bring scants. And if you don't know what scants are, they were seen in the first season of The Next Generation, maybe the second season, and as recently as The Trouble with Edward Short Treks. It's named after skirt and pants. And it was meant to be a gender-neutral outfit for the future in The Next Generation. It's more like a dress with shorts. It's a dress that ends in shorts. It's more like the skirt-shaped shorts that some people wear now. Except this one is dress length. and it's called a scant. They end up dressing up in the white outfits, like the white kind of style ceremonial officers' outfits that we saw in Star Trek Nemesis and Insurrection's first act. And they look really good in them. So they go there and they're like, oh, the location of the party is a secret. We need to find out where it is. And they go into this store where Mariner has a history with the shopkeeper. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll tell you where it is if you help me deliver these crates. And he also calls Boimler her boyfriend, and they're both like, ew, no, about that. Which is something I like, that kind of recurring thing. Not just because I don't want them together, I don't. But if they do end up together, I wouldn't be like offended or anything. But like, I don't want them together, and I like the idea of just them having this really intimate friendship that everyone else misreads as romantic, because I've had that. I've had that with people. But they ask what's in the crates they need to deliver, and they're like, oh, it's Commander Data Bubble Bath. And it's literally just like little datas, so you pop off the head and there's bubble bath. And they ask if some of them are lore, and they say, yeah, some are probably lore, which was funny. Now, I do have to point out, and I know this is a Star Trek timeline lore detail, and you really shouldn't be trying to point these things out in a comedy show, but this takes place in 2381. Commander Data has been dead for 2 years. Why are they making bubble baths shaped like him? Who is making these, and who are actually producing these? Like, is this a Starfleet sanctioned thing? Are they bootleg? I don't know. And they also, this is another lore detail that bugged me, but it's completely unimportant. They say Commander Data, but it's not based on the outfit that Data wears in the movies. It's based on the TV series where he was still Lieutenant Commander Data, which I just want to point it out because I rarely get to do the little lore nitpicky talk in Star Trek, even though it's a Star Trek fan, stereotype. So when I can do it, I'm gonna do it. So they're gonna deliver these bubble baths, and they're like, okay, fine. But then the police come to check on them, and it turns out they have Klingon disruptors as well, which are illegal. So an intense car chase ensues, and it's really good, it's really action-packed, it's full of little references. I have not double-checked this, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the car that they drive is actually the dune buggy from Star Trek Nemesis. They, end up running through the city, and they go through an aviary where the bird alien people from the animated series, I don't remember what they're called, are in, which is really cool as well. They run past some Vulcans. They almost run over Boothby, who apparently works here now. I guess he's no longer at the academy. And eventually, they shake off the police, and they get the location from the dude they were smuggling for. And they go to the party, and Boimler's like, I'm William Boimler from the Titan. And they're like, yeah, welcome in. But then they stop Mariner, because apparently only Luna-class vessels and above are allowed into the party. So it's not even something personal Mariner has done. It's specifically the type of ship she's on. She tries to lie and say that she's on the Voyager D, which is a really bad lie. Because at this point in time... That's my cat. At this point in time, they would be at most on Voyager A. Boimler's like, oh, I'm not gonna go in there without you. And she's like, why not? You abandoned me before. And they get into a fight, and they walk separate ways. And Boimler goes in, and... this is really cool, okay? So, first off, Captain Shelby. Shelby's a captain now. Shelby from the Best of Both Worlds. Good for her. Glad to see it. But, this is my favorite little Easter egg in this episode. Her number one, who isn't named, is an alien. And the alien species, which is also unnamed, is based on the rejected early makeup test for Saru and the Kelpians in Star Trek Discovery. That is a deep cut. But of course, Boimler realizes that he doesn't really fit in here, and he leaves. And Mariner has gone to this little bar. Boimler comes there as well. She's sulking, and they talk it out at last about, Mariner actually having felt really bad about Boimler leaving without even talking to her. And he was like, well, I thought you, just didn't care about these things. I barely thought you had feelings the way you act. And she's like, no, I just don't like showing people feelings, except people like you, that I actually, feel comfortable around. And it's really, really good, emotional, and nice. And then the bartender, this really cool, big buff alien lady, it's like, oh, you're not the first ones, who have, just bailed out on an after party and arrived here.
Hey, cheer up. They've been running that stupid party for generations. You're not the first two to end up in here after striking out.
Oh, yeah? What is that? No way!
What? Captain Kirk drank here?
He and his pointy-eared pal dragged the party crash back in, what was it? 2260-something. Ended up right here.
Lady, you do not look that old. I am very jealous. Respect.
We're gonna get back to that, but I just want to say I was beaming when I saw that. Also, the bartender has a tiny Guardian of Forever on her shelf, which I thought was really cute. But that's kind of where we leave the A plot, although we do get back to the bar in the outro of the episode, so we'll get back to it there. But the B plot is the Cerritos has escorted this alien called the Doopler. And the Doopler is an alien species that when they get embarrassed, they duplicate. The Doopler is voiced by Richard Kind, who is a phenomenal voice actor.
Oh no, I duplicated! This is so embarrassing!
No, it's fine.
Nothing is more mortifying than duplicating!
Of course, Freeman ends up talking to, I think it's one of the admirals, and she's like, oh, it's been so exhausting escorting the Doopler. Everyone's been walking around on eggshells to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Just as, the Doopler walks into the room, starts duplicating, they try to, calm him down, but it gets worse, duplicates again, and it's the trouble with Tribble's effect, or the trouble with Edward effect, where it becomes a swarm of Dooplers infinitely duplicating. And in the middle of this, Tendi and Rutherford are building a model Cerritos.
Watch out! Yeah, hot.
The engines work, but no lights.
What am I doing wrong? Oh, hey, another message from last year me. Shield emitters =, squiggly line.
And Rutherford keeps finding little notes left on it from his pre-amnesia self, and he can't figure out what they mean. And they end up having to escape the wave of Dooplers, and he keeps being confused by the various things, little notes and things that work and doesn't work on the model, and if he feels like he's competing with his past self, a much smarter version of himself that he now can't really understand or get the direction of. And Tendi eventually tells him, no, the past you never finished these models either. We would just get to a point, I think we were finishing the warp core, then we would disassemble it and start over. And he's like, oh, why? And she's like, oh, because if we kept building things, then people left us alone, and we got alone time. I think she refers to it as a social deflector disc or something.
Because as long as we were working on this, people left us alone. It was like our social deflector dish. We got to hang out without anyone bugging us.
And I thought that was really cute. And they end up ejecting the warp core, because apparently model ships in the Star Trek universe have all the parts on it are functioning, including the phasers and the warp cores, and they pick out little tiny warp cores and throw them at a maintenance hatch so they can climb into the maintenance hatch, and it's adorable. And that's how they escape the Dooplers. And we also find out, this has probably been available information since before the series started, but I don't think it's been said before. Rutherford's first name is Samanthan. I think that was it. Which I have to say, I thought that was interesting because, of course, in Discovery we have Michael, and they make a deal out of that, oh, never seen a woman named Michael before in the third episode or something. And I always thought it was a bit of a shame that comment was there, because I like the idea that in the future our human names have become so just removed from gender that a girl can be named Michael without it being odd. And here we have, it's not exactly Samantha, but it's close enough to it that it just seems like Rutherford has what we would normally have been referring to as a girl name, but no one makes a note of it. I thought that was really nice. And I guess we sort of see that with Mariner as well, whose first name is Beckett, which is typically more male-leaning than female-leaning. And it's just nice to see, I like that. Anyway, Captain Freeman realizes that if they reprimand the Dooplers, if they just start tearing into them, complaining about them, shouting at them, being really mean-spirited towards them, they deduplicate, which I think should be called unduplicate, but it said deduplicate in the show. So they end up just insulting the Doopler back into one, and he actually like he's offended at first, but when he's back to one, he's like, "Oh, thank you for deduplicating me. I'm sorry I caused a problem." And this is what I mean, that like you could read into this B plot that the message is that we shouldn't be careful and respect boundaries because people will just get offended anyway, and we should just be mean. But I don't think that's the intention. I think it's just a silly little gag about misunderstandings, because that's what it is ultimately. Like, they're trying to calm the Doopler down, but they end up making him feel more nervous. And then in the end they realize that it's them trying to excessively calm him down in various ways that is the problem. But of course, Freeman now is gonna go to the party and isn't let in, because again, Luna-class vessels only. You think they would have told her that ahead of time, but she's really annoyed at this. They do mention that Okana, Captain Okana, is in there. And she's like, but he's not even Starfleet. And they're like, yeah, well, he's the DJ. And we get a short cameo, Okana being a DJ. But Freeman and the other officers, from bridge crew officers, end up going to the bar as well, where Mariner and Boimler is now sitting, just having fun. And in fact, Rutherford and Tendi also go there. They go there to build a Deep Space Nine model kit, which comes with both a Jadzia and an Ezri, that was also really cute. And Mariner ends up calling Boimler her number one, and he responds to it, and she's like, you responded to it, that means you're my number one now.
Turns out this is the best party in the quadrant, right? Number one?
Right. Hey,
No, too late. You're my number one now.
it doesn't work like that.
Yes, it does. I watched it happen.
No, Captain, don't do that. I want to redo.
No, you're my sidekick from now on.
I am not.
One is my number one.
And it was really cute, and it ends on Mariner plus Boimler being etched into the counter next to Kirk plus Spock. So, closing thoughts on this. I don't want Mariner and Boimler to get together, but if they do get together, then we can unequivocally say that because of visual storytelling and parallels drawn, Kirk/Spock is canon. And I'm willing to let my own biases go and see Mariner and Boimler become a couple just to make Kirk and Spock canon. And that's my closing thoughts. It has nothing to do with the rest of the episode, but the rest of the episode was really fun. I loved it. Check it out. It was a really good episode. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Now, if you enjoy my content, you can support me on Patreon. You can support me on Ko-fi as well. I have a new Twitter account, Andrea_Reventon. I would get into why I have a new Twitter account, but I think I'll be doing that on a chat stream instead. I'll be doing a chat stream and a Final Fantasy IV stream tonight. So look forward to that as well. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next review or whatever other video you end up watching from me. Live long and prosper.